Okay, can we just say it? Being a therapist doesn't mean we magically have figured it all out. We get stuck, we can second guess, and we definitely have questions we wish we could ask other therapists without feeling like frauds.
In today's episode, we're naming the unspoken stuff, the things that other therapists ask us behind the scenes. From imposter syndrome to burnout, fee shame to clinical doubt. We're laying it all out. No performance, no perfect therapist mask.
If you've ever thought, is it just me? Spoiler alert, it's not. I'm Lisa.
I'm Stephanie, and we're wildly unbothered. So, some of the questions that we've gotten over the years, whether it's in passing or, friends that we've had that are other therapists, we've gotten some juicy ones, and I feel that they aren't quite talked about. So, we're bringing some to the table today. What is a question that you have for me?
So, question number one. How do you decide when it's time to refer a client out or end therapy altogether?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think this is a good one to touch on too, because people are afraid to ask about it or might feel some type of way. So for me, with referring a client out, it's not to say I want to, but it's one of those things where it's really important to know your area of expertise and how you can help a client. If there's an additional need that you can't meet or something else that would be a better fit or a good match, that being able to refer them out means you're still helping them get what they need, and it's the better fit. It's something that's going to make sense. And as a therapist, we want them to do better. We want them to feel better. So again, not that I want to refer people out, but I think having the perspective of you're really helping the client for what they need, it feels like a better experience than feeling like you weren't a good fit. As far as ending therapy, I do preface in the beginning that if there's 3 no shows, like no call, no shows, I call them, that we tend to terminate. There usually shows an aspect of readiness. So we kind of wait until that readiness returns. And then there's graduating therapy. So getting to a space where you have the tools and the momentum and understanding of yourself and your needs. So without needing to know what's coming in the future, you feel well equipped with yourself. And we kind of graduate and end therapy that way.
Yeah, both these questions are around finishing with a client, like they're no longer in our caseload. And I know that that kind of feels weird on several angles, but I think that, like you're saying, referring a client out really is doing it in their best interest. And that's always the space we should be working from. It's ethical.
Yes.
When I come to the end of my expertise, I've sought consultation, my scope of practice, if something is brought to the table that I just don't work with, it is in their best interest for me to refer them to get best care. And I usually do a warm handoff. I will introduce them or however it best works for the client I'm working with. And then ending therapy is the other side. And beyond them just not the readiness, but it's like even of them, I think often there's like a hesitation on both sides. One, they're off my caseload. So there's a space, but then there's also the other, like them of, but wait, I'm just doing okay because I come to see you. It's like, no, you're doing okay because you're doing the work. And so them building them towards that. And it's not that we go from twice a week to like once a week and then you're just done. It's of paring down and feeling like there needs to be less supports and them knowing that they can contact you kind of for a tune-up, just like a maintenance. Everything doesn't have to break down for you to contact me. So I think that within there's a lot of discussion and for them to understand that they're the ones that have done the work. They contain that in themselves and to really trust within themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you ever felt that within therapy you have made things worse for someone?
The thing is it might feel worse. Now, is it worse? Generally not. But the way I will even tell clients is to know that when we're working into this stuff, that thing has been like a sliver that's kind of embedded itself in your skin and almost sealed itself over. And you're having to like kind of get in there to get the sliver back out, debride the wound, which doesn't feel good. But you want to get all the ick out so that nothing is still there. You want to get it so that it can fully heal. Yeah, there might be a little bit of a scar because you've gone through something, but it won't be like every time you touch it, it's out, 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 and changing up your quality of life and your capacity, capability within your life. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Do you actually enjoy being a therapist, or are you just good at it?
I love it. I think everyone will have their own answers in this space, but I definitely think for myself that they are one and the same. I think I
Mm.
enjoy it and, bias aside, feel that I do well with it because of my approach and because I also incorporate what I teach. So I'm bringing a lot of who I already am and what I do into this space. So there's a lot of that authenticity around it
Mhm.
and enjoyment and that evidence based aspect to it. So I think the approach, by keeping it evidence based and measurable, we know that there is progress. But by being able to pull in who I am helps me really enjoy it along the way.
Absolutely. I think that I was quote unquote good at it. Like there was some innate nature of me before I even had the training. And then the training just like synthesized and integrated with that. And so then on the other side, it kind of flows through me. And I can tell when I'm not in alignment with myself because that's when I'm not quite feeling it, like the enjoyment. But that also is my indicator and that's my own work.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. I feel very similarly. Do you ever feel guilty charging full price if a session feels flat or unproductive?
Oh, we're talking about the fee shame. Fee shame. Talking about money is a tough one. People have such big, huge things around talking about money. It's all of our own work.
Mhm.
But when we can get to the point where we don't make it so emotionally charged and separate it out with the money, it becomes two different things. And I think that we're using the money as if like kind of like are we worthy of this money because we've done good work? Well, that's not how this exactly works. So no, the answer to the question is no. Because, and also I would say on the flip side of that is a session feels flat or unproductive. There's reflective nature in there, but it also is knowing that we're doing good work, even if the surface feels calm right now. Like when you say flat, like nothing feels like it's happening necessarily, but there's like some kind of undercurrent and churning elsewhere going on. And we don't just sit in a state of nothingness. So no, my answer is no.
And I think adding the realistic layer of this is part of life. So I think
Mm.
flat and unproductive are harsh words for those dynamics. I think, like you said, what's actually happening is more calmness or whatever. Understanding that there's not always something to fix and there doesn't always have to be a problem. And what we're trying to create is that flatness or calmness around it or things outside of problems or stuff that has to be active.
Mhm. Mhm. And what's a boundary you wish you'd set sooner in your career?
It's one of those you live and learn. So we appreciate how it's gone. But one of the bigger things would probably be something around my schedule. I feel like in the beginning, for a while, or different agencies you worked with, you put in a lot. You put in a lot of time, you put in a lot of energy, you put in a lot of resources, you put in a lot of researching, you put in sacrificing chores or this or that because of the schedule. And it truly has helped develop my boundaries and my business and everything through that experience. So, where I am grateful, if we could have learned the lesson a little earlier, that's probably a boundary I would have thrown in.
Yeah. I think there was the flex of kind of being the availability
Yeah.
for everyone all the time would have been something I would have set earlier.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes to many places, not necessarily just work schedule, learning how to say no easier and yes with more intentionality.
And kind of segues with the feeling guilty around the pricing. Like once you understand the depth and the importance and the why and how it impacts your life, it does become non emotional. It does become something that just is matter of fact. That's the balance in staying afloat in this type of line of work.
Staying afloat. That's always a good plan. So just curious, are you guys therapists? Like if you have other questions, we'd love to hear them. Drop them in the comments below. We will get back to them. We'll circle back around and answer more for future episodes.
Yes. And we love to touch on the things that aren't as commonly spoken about. We are wild
Mm.
bothered over here. Anything that has not been discussed or has been a personal experience that you're curious about, we would absolutely love to hear it. These aren't just questions, they're pressure points in profession that doesn't always leave space for realness.
And if you're a therapist holding it together on the outside while quietly wondering if you're doing this right, we see you. You're not alone and you're not broken.
So let's keep asking better questions, not just of each other, but of the systems that trained us to pretend we're fine. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time. And stay wildly unbothered.